Hi, everybody. It is 5 o'clock. Welcome to Barsha, episode 34. Iconic rock star photographer Deborah Feingold. Yay! Hi, Deb.
Hi.
I'm going to sing you a little song. I sing a little jingle for everybody that I make up each week. So here's yours. Where do you go on Mondays when you want to have fun? Where can you go on Mondays when your day is done? Well, Fireside Chat is where it's at. Our guests are all the best. She's an iconic photographer whose work won't get old. She's brave and bold. She's Deborah Feingold. Help me in welcoming Deborah Feingold. Okay, I'm going to say one thing to you to get us started off. I want to get it out of the way. You've probably heard it your entire life, but let's look at your most iconic photograph to start. Does everybody recognize this? Yes. This is Madonna in 1982. And that is Deborah Feingold's most iconic photograph. We're going to start from that, and then we're going to work all around, backwards, forwards. So tell us, so we all know the story, what happened when she walked in, who was she at the time, and what was this for?
Okay, so it's 1982, and I'm working at a very new, hip, funky music magazine called Musician Magazine. I'm on staff. I'm their photo editor, photo researcher, photographer, and it was an incredible magazine. And I asked them if we could do a story on Madonna because there was a lot of buzz happening at that time. But they thought themselves to be a little more high end, if you will. So they said, nah, not interested. So then I just started asking a bunch of editors that I knew. And one of them said yes. And it was as simple as that. So I lived in the Village at the time, and I had just a single room studio, and all my furniture folded up. So the bed folded up, the dining room table folded up, and then I turned it into a photo studio.
Wow.
It was just wide enough to fit the seamless paper that she's standing against. So I guess it was like 9 feet wide.
I love it.
And so she came with her publicist, Liz Rosenberg, and I don't think there was any budget. I don't even know if I got paid. But what I did for food was I had a bowl of bubble gum and lollipops, and I don't know what I was actually.
No. Hold on. Everyone's laughing. Listen. You're telling me that lollipop was a perchance thing sitting there and she didn't bring it? It was in your bowl?
Yeah, in my bowl.
And so you just had it sitting there and you had no idea Madonna's going to pick up a lollipop, and this became the most iconic shot in the whole world. Okay, keep going. This is a fantastic story. Go ahead.
Well, actually, the shoot would be just about done from when I started speaking. It was very, very short. And this was sort of the beginning of my career, just a few years into it. Right. And I was very, very shy and nervous, and she was very quiet. And honestly, we just set to work. I had the lighting set up, and I had an assistant with me, and I shot maybe 4 rolls of film. Now that sounds like a lot, but I was shooting for any photo people out there with a Hasselblad with only 12 frames. So there was maybe a total of 48 snaps.
Oh my God.
and so I always have described it as just a dance, where she would lead and I would follow. I would give some direction and she would follow. We never really talked to each other that I can recall.
Okay, so Madonna didn't need to be staged in any way.
And she came camera ready. She just walked into my apartment and, it looked a little bit like a photo studio. Maybe she thought there were more rooms past everything.
It was just this room. Oh my God.
Yeah.
All right.
500 square feet. That was the size. Which is, I guess, but that included the kitchen, the bathroom, the closet. So, and then honestly, she just left, and that was the very end of that.
And you have never spoken to Madonna since 1982?
I have not. I don't even know if I spoke to her in 1982.
Okay. Which brings, yeah, go ahead.
But I want to just bring something up to date. So this is just for my photo friends and anyone else, because I think there's a lot of similarities between, music and photo, right?
Yes.
And we'll talk about that later. But what I did want to say was back then, when you took a photograph of someone famous, you owned all your film. That was it. Boom, boom, boom. Now, it was called editorial usage. So I couldn't make T-shirts. I couldn't do other things with it, right? So I get a phone call from one of my art directors at Little Brown. Oh, I don't know, less than a year ago. And they're desperate. They need a picture of Madonna for her. A very famous writer is doing a biography of her. And the first thing he says to me is, do you own the images? And my picture is going to be on the cover of what.
Oh my God, can we please stop? Okay, so is it that particular picture or is it some of the other ones which we'll show later?
Best part, it's not the Lollipop series.
Okay.
I also put her on my futon and took a few pictures there, but they've cropped in forehead. It's like, this is it. And she's looking in profile. I have to say, it looks amazing. It's just another way of seeing it.
Look, what's the difference between taking for a magazine and taking a cover for a book? I'm going to show some of your covers you've done that are specifically taken for covers, but this is like something that lived for so many years in an iconic way.
Yeah.
It's like getting royalties for a song. You're right.
Yeah. But it was all legal. It's like if anybody ever uses my pictures of her in a way that is illegal,
right?
I've gone after them. And I'm not a ambulance chaser, but some things have been so egregious that we have taken them to court, and we have won every single time. Because I am a firm believer in copyright, even though the courts may not be. Yeah. I mean, I do try to protect for myself and for the subjects. Right. So anyway, but that's just a great story. And it's kudos to the art director for seeing this image in a way that even I had never really thought of or seen before. So very exciting for me.
Oh, everybody's clapping, including my mother, Martha Barsha, down there.
Oh, Martha, hi.
So I do want to say that, I wanted to start there because when you create an iconic image and it keeps living through life, that's one thing. And that you didn't even know that was going to be that in that moment. You did this thing, it's done, it lives. That has not been done one time in your life. It's been done many times. And that is one of the reasons I love you as a photographer. I just need to say that. So I want to start now. I want to move all the way back. Here you are. You grew up in Rhode Island. Is that correct?
Yep.
You knew photography was a love from very young?
Yep.
Do you remember the first time you thought, I want to take pictures for a living?
Oh, I don't think I ever thought that.
You just thought, I want to take pictures. It was a passion, right?
So, yeah, I mean, I think, for some younger people, they may not be familiar with this, but growing up in the 50s and 60s, the word hobby was very meaningful. And it wasn't about how much can I make, what can I do, can I get a career out of this? It was just like something you did because it just made you feel so good and was, just different than anything else that was in your life. And so for me, that was, in the beginning, it was theater, and then it was photography, because my dad had a dark room in the basement. And when I was 12, he taught me how to develop my black and white film and how to print. And that was the beginning of actually the only love affair that's lasted my whole life, except for the love of my daughter. Thank you. But
Yes, we know Molly is sitting next to you right now, and you have a new grandchild. Can I clap for that? Yes.
Which is why I just want to say, as a visual person, I apologize for my background. I would have liked it to be much hipper, but I had to lock myself in a small room because the baby cries very loud.
Okay. That is so great. So, okay, here you are. You're in Rhode Island. You're taking pictures. Now, RISD's right there. Did you go there? Like, where did you go? Did you go for photography to school?
I did go to RISD. I was 6 years old, and I took a drawing class.
Rhode Island School of Design.
I grew up on the other side of town. I grew up in Cranston, Rhode Island. Okay. So New Englanders are familiar with that little area, and very humble. And, I did not do very well in school. I wanted to go, I was still wanting to do theater. But I didn't get into Emerson College because my grades were so poor. So I went to school in Virginia. Shout out to Martha. Thank you. And went there for a year, came back to school to Emerson, got in, and no longer wanted any part of that. But no one in my family had ever gone to college. And I wanted to do that so they would love me. No, I wanted to do that. So Jewish. And
I know.
So I ended up getting a job in a camera store.
I didn't know this. Wow. So you're in a camera store amongst all these cameras, like me in a piano shop. Go ahead.
Right. So I did that during college, but also starting from about the age of 13, I started volunteering at different places. So when I was living at home, I worked at what was known as the Bad Girls School, which is a horrible, horrible name for a horrible place where teenagers were incarcerated. And I taught tie-dye because it was the 60s.
Oh my God.
It was a little bit of a problem as the girls that were there were starting to take their clothes off to tie-dye them. And I wasn't asked to come back again. But anyway, so when I got to college, I wanted to. Oh, they just got it. Okay. I wanted to continue with volunteering. Right. So while I was still in school, I created workshops. I taught for some senior citizens, and I taught at a camp for special needs kids in the Catskills, because I wanted to share what had been so meaningful to me on a pretty deep level, which, unless there's a therapist here, I'll talk about that later. But it just meant a lot to me to share joy, if you will, for people that I felt could use some joy in their life. So anyway, I'm going to go really fast. So during college, I'm working at the camera store. And then first year out of school, I get a job part-time on a Title I grant, and I'm teaching photography in it was called Juvenile Detention Center.
Right.
And so back in the 70s, the early 70s, it was illegal in many states to hold teenagers, in a prison setting. So I was working with the most dangerous kids that they couldn't let out while they waited to go to court. Wow. And so I got a lot of donations. Being that this was in Boston, I got them from Polaroid, which was there.
Wow.
I'd have the kids write letters to GE so we could get free light bulbs for our little flashes. And I had a one of the cells was my office and darkroom. And so that was at the same time, I'm living in Cambridge, living in a short apartment building. There's like three floors. All the doors are open all the time. Smoking lots of pot. Can I say that? Yeah.
Of course, this is Fireside. Yes.
And just kind of living the life that I never really knew growing up in Cranston, Rhode Island. And it was very freeing. And it turned out there was, every time I would park my little VW we had a little parking lot, one of the musicians from the first floor always seemed to be out there. He had a truck, but he'd be washing the truck. I mean, it was a bit odd until he finally had the nerve to speak with me. And he was a jazz drummer. And that was sort of the beginning of my world changing yet again. And my grant ended and I started substitute teaching. But then I also started meeting, his name is David. I started meeting David's other musicians and friends and bands and started taking some band photos.
Oh, yeah. I know who you're going to say is your first photo. I'm going to get it up as you say it. Okay, go ahead.
I don't know who it is.
You went on the road with somebody. Who did you go on the road with? I will show them.
Oh, I know what you're saying. Okay. But that's a little, I didn't get to New York yet. So I'll get me there in one sentence.
Go ahead.
Chet Baker. But I ended up moving to New York 3 years later with a different musician. I preferred, it seems, the bass to the drums. And the two of us moved to New York together, but I was going with him. It was his dream. He had a pretty famous band in Boston, and he was ready for his next step. And I had no idea what was going to lay before me. Right. So I just put me in New York. Thank you. I needed to get out of New England. Thank you.
I just wanted to get to, this is where I want to get to, because from this point on, I have a million questions. Go ahead.
Well, that's it, really. Well, just the first assignment, Scott Lee, the man who remains my closest male friend.
That's great.
And he and I had the benefit of a friend of his that he went to school with started his own jazz label. It was called Artist House. And John Snyder owned this. And he was very into visuals and liner notes in a way that other people weren't doing. He had come from A&M Records. And anyway, he gave Scott his first gig going on the road with Chet Baker, and he gave me my first assignment in New York. And I just want to mention at this point, I still only know how to use black and white film. And he gave me my first assignment shooting Chet Baker. And that is
amazing. Okay, so I want to go through some of your shots and your current book covers, and then I want to go back in time, because this is what blows me away. Now, everybody should know that there is the Chet Baker shot, and now there is a great quote of yours, and I want you to do that as we go through these photographs. Anyone I photographed, whether they were good things or bad things, they've done things. So now, knowing that, I'm going to take you through some of these book covers, and I'm going to stop on one of them. Look at these book covers, including our precious Randy Rainbow. What was Randy like?
Randy was actually quieter. There was no performance on his part. He was so focused. As you can imagine, he does all his own, hair and makeup. He just worked his tush off the whole time. It was like the Madonna shoot. I mean, he was Randy, and he has a lot that he's focusing on and thinking on. So he was really quite easy to photograph and work with.
Okay, so here's some of the other people. Oh, my fat, fabulous life. We love her. There she is, Whitney. As I go through these, I'm going to get to the one that blows me away the most. I think I might have to. Oh, I love D.L. Hughley. Look, Samantha B. Oh, please tell us about Samantha. Oh, I love her so much.
She was great. She was really great. And I was very lucky to work with this one particular art director. And he would have these great ideas. So a lot of the images that you're looking at, we built those sets in a photo studio. So, I think as the artist that comes in to see the effort that's going into something like this, they're very excited as well. And she was really playful, and it was one of my favorite shoots.
Okay, now we're getting to some other shots, which you can see. If you want to say anything about these shots, please do. But I want to get to that. Holy hell. You took Barack Obama's. Can we please have major applause? That's insanity. All right, what was Barack Obama like to shoot? Did you have to direct the shoot? Did you set it up? What's the story?
The story is that he had recently given his speech at the Democratic Convention. He was still serving in Chicago. And so the art director wanted me to shoot him against, the Chicago background.
Right.
So, that's not really my forte. I feel like I'm a little more intimate.
Right.
Instead, I was standing on a jetty, surrounded by water, building a studio, with the background of Chicago in front of me. And everything's great. The Polaroids look great. Everything looks great. And then he's late. He's an hour late, and the weather has completely changed.
Wow.
Now, the sun is out, and it's really bright. And he's squinting, and it's clear that he's not comfortable. And then the wind picks up, and one of my light stands falls into the Lake Michigan.
Oh no!
So I knew that I needed a plan B before I walked out the door for this shoot, because I knew I needed to set up what I do best. So I asked him if he'd like to come to my hotel room for drinks and a cigarette. No. So I asked him.
I have to turn around for that. That's really funny. Okay, go ahead.
So I had in my I remember I stayed at the W Hotel, and I had set up, not knowing that he would do this, a little photo studio. I had my seamless. So that picture, he's about 3 feet in front of me, and I'm sitting on the edge of my bed because there's no more room. The room was so small. So I couldn't, and I did ask him to go, and he wasn't quite as friendly at this point because, a lot of politicians, they're incredibly, I'm talking about time, efficient.
Yes.
They run by a schedule, but he came up there alone with me, and I have some really pleasant, fun photos, and that was not supposed to be the cover. That was plan B, which you always should have as a photographer when you know this is a situation you're not in complete control of.
That's right.
This was a very spontaneous, probably 15-minute shoot at best.
All right, everybody, that's amazing. And right next to that, look who we have, Desmond Tutu. What is going on? What is happening here? These are like iconic images. Now, her quote really holds through here. Whether they were good things or bad things, the people I've shot have done things. So here's Clarence Thomas. I just like to say that. Clarence Thomas, that is set up. That looks like you went to him somewhere to his place or something.
Yeah, his office in D.C.
Yeah, and here's Al Sharpton. Here's Nancy Pelosi. I mean, this is why I say, look at Van Jones. Oh my God. Look at Mika. Look at Mika. Okay. Now here's Mitch McConnell. Here is Ann Coulter. Here's Marco Rubio. That's all on the same row. I noticed you put them. Look at all these people. This is the super carb diet guy. Yes. Oh, look, that's amazing. I didn't even notice Andrew Weil. And these are amazing, amazing. I mean, if you go and look at these, I don't know if people ever, oh, look, where is the one that's a gorgeous photo right there. How did you think of that photo?
I was just so happy to be. So this was in Essex County,
Right.
and they flew us in a little small plane, and it was terribly exciting. I really related to what she and her husband were doing, living on the
Wow.
land and the way they lived. So there was a deep connection for me. And
Right.
honestly, a lot of times book covers, they just want the person on the cover, 3/4, put a banner for the title. The fact that I had this incredible environment, it just, I still, that's my preference, but that wasn't always what I
Right.
wanted to do. And I don't know, it just, that's what I love about going someplace and not knowing what can happen is the joy of discovery. And
And
so
you just, it reminded me, look at all these, everybody. Roseanne Cash, I can't take it. Dorothy Hamill, come on. What is going on with all these? This is amazing. And what you just said, I really want to now talk about before we go further. You said something very, very important. I like going places, not knowing where I'm going to. And I know in another interview that I listened to of yours, you said that's what I relate to musicians who improvise.
mm,
And that I want to bring it back to because you had so many years photographing incredible musicians, and you even wrote a book called Music with all those photographs in it. And now I said to myself when I heard you say that, I said, I wonder if she puts music on during sessions. You probably don't, do you? Because you don't know
no,
if you'll,
no, you know, I'm not the one to say, let's put it on.
right.
So I think when I was younger, I did, you had your studio all decked out. You had, I don't know what we played music on then, but as time went on, it was a lot more focused and I was doing things sometimes with art directors. But yeah, I would say when I owned my own studios, the spaces, music was
Yes.
a big part of it. And now someone, like I'll have an assistant put some theme music on or something. I don't know.
Well,
I'm so focused. Some people need the music. I personally don't, unless I'm so bored, which can happen occasionally, that I need the music.
so that brings me to my next question about preparation for a shot. Now, we are in digital world now, and we weren't in digital world before. Um, so what's different? I mean, obviously, what's different to a layperson? I know what's different, but what's different essence wise for you and feeling wise?
So I would tell you that the only difference that I have is after a photo shoot with film, you would go to the lab. They would cut off a little piece of the film. They would process it normally. That'd be 3 hours of nail biting or whatever if they were late. Then you would look at it. Then it would be too dark. So then they have to do another little sample of the film, each time eating up some of your job. And you never knew. I mean, your heart would be racing because it was film. It was being processed. You didn't know. Now, I can
There was
make
no
those judgments.
retouching, no retouching,
Oh, I'm
right?
not even going there yet because you didn't think
Okay.
about. Well, that was the other thing. Good point, Deborah. Is you had to be so careful of everything because once it was done, it was done. So now I get to see it, but I will honestly tell you that I know very little about retouching because I want to get it when I'm there. If
Right.
that challenge was gone for me, I don't know that I'd still enjoy working.
You're leading me right into my next question because I also read that sometimes you had to get a shot like in 10 minutes, like the James Brown thing. You said he was literally in a recording studio or something, and you had to get it. Or the funny stories that you can maybe tell us one where somebody does something at a shoot and walks out and never comes back.
Well, oh God, I forgot about that one.
That I think it was Billy Idol.
No, there was another one that was even worse.
Oh, tell us one of those stories because it's really funny. I listened to both. I'll give you the choice. You have to get shots quickly sometimes because of people's schedules, right?
Or just to keep their interest. If you're
Right.
so slow, you'll lose them. So it's really about psyching people out and timing and, just, there's a lot that goes on psyche wise, for me at least, when I'm shooting. And I just learned to shoot really, really fast. And part of that is I lose interest in a setup. I'm ready for the next thing, you know.
So it's about collaboration for you. It's not the other thing. I wrote down some amazing quotes that you have. People aren't props. Oh,
Well, that's how I shoot, but that's not how every photographer works.
I
And
know, but that is, I can see the intimacy in the photos in a minute. Like, I don't know how you got it if you work fast. So you have to see quickly and go, right?
you have to establish, or I try to establish, a trust, if you will, you know, whatever, you know. I always let them know I'm there for them, you know,
Yeah. Oh,
that
okay.
you're not doing me the favor, you know.
Right.
Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, you're doing me the favor. You know what I'm trying to say.
Yes, of course. And that is what these portraits that I found on your website, you know, as you see, look now, those some of these were from the photo shoots, I think maybe from the books. Oh my God, look at Keith Richards. Oh God. This is the most glamorous shot of Laura Linney that I have ever seen anywhere. Thank you, people, for clapping. Please clap for these shots. This is, look at Laurie Anderson. What is going on? Look at, oh my God. Is that Suzanne Vega? Who is that? Suzanne Vega?
Yeah,
And Leonard Cohen.
and that was really interesting.
Tell me about this shot. This is an amazing.
That was really interesting because they asked her, I forget how you use the word mentor. Like she was supposed to pick someone that she would want to mentor her. Is that how it goes? Someone she admires, right?
Someone she admired, right?
Yeah. So they asked a lot of young musicians who that would be, and she chose Leonard Cohen, and he came to the shoot. They had never met before. Wow. And it was, I don't even remember the shoot, but I can tell you one thing I do remember. It was the only time I really thought about what I wanted to do before I did it. Wow. I envisioned this shot because just hands on head, passing down and through. And I recently read a couple of years ago an interview with her where she said how nervous she was because in some shots her head is on his chest, and she said how she could hear his heart beating.
Oh my God, Leonard Cohen's heart. Look at this. Look at Joey Ramone. Look at Mick Jagger. Look at Joe Perry and Steven Tyler. Come on. B.B. King. Come on. Come on. Peter Gabriel. What a shot of Peter Gabriel. Holy.
Oh my God. Thank you. I've never had anyone ever say anything about it. And Deborah, that was one of those shoots early in career. Your only time to shoot him is in his, you know, at Warner Brother Records in the conference room.
And so you made him go to the window and put his hands up?
Yeah. And I'm on the balcony.
Wait, what are you saying? Put one hand on the inside, put one hand on the... What are you saying?
But are you seeing where that ray of light, the reflection is coming right
Yes, yes, I see it right there, yes.
Well, I don't know if I saw it, but I really love it.
Oh, it's so good. There's David Byrne in that suit that we all remember. Now, can we talk about Annette Bening in this shot, please, everybody? Oh, my God. So is this where you choose, or how did you work this out? You said wear a jacket? I mean, what happened here?
No, but I will tell you that she comes in and,
right.
You know, I have reached, I'm a little bit older, and I think this is the story. It was either her or Laura Linney, but one of those two women said to me, you know, we've met before. And I said, really? And she said, yeah, I was in a play on Broadway playing a photographer, and you very kindly, when I called and asked to watch you shoot, you let me shoot. Oh my God. I had no memory of it. But anyway.
Now, what about this sex shot? Okay. Can we talk about this, Lisa Bonet? We all love Lisa Bonet. That is, did you choose this, or did she come in dressed like this? Do they come in with outfits? What happens?
So I'm going to guess that was hers, but it was shot for Vogue, so I don't know for sure.
Right.
But yeah, I don't remember. But if you could go back to
Oh,
the
sorry.
yeah, so that's the jacket I was wearing to the shoot. And I also happened to have, just as a backdrop, this checkered fabric. And I was shooting with this really interesting Polaroid film that you would shoot it, you would take it out of your camera, roll it back, take it out, and you could process it right there. So,
Oh my
60
God.
seconds later, it came out. It's very fragile. They made it for a very short period of time. And that's add to the luminescence of this incredible shoot that we shot on the roof of a building in Soho.
I love you for telling us these stories. Nobody gets to hear stories behind story. Look at Keanu Reeves. What were you saying to Keanu? What was
Come
going?
home with me.
Yeah, exactly. I had a crush on him too.
Well, that was for Rolling Stone, and the assignment was he's in a hotel in Montauk, meet him there, and that was it. And then we just took a walk.
I'd love that. This, of course, is the conglomeration of all the Madonna's shots, a lot of them from that session. So if you ever see thank you, everybody. If you ever see Madonna in that outfit, you know who shot her now. Unbelievable. This, of course, is the show I was just in, the Tina Turner show on Broadway. And look at that gorgeous shot of Tina. Oh, Deb. That is such a stunning shot because her lipstick matches the couch. That is stunning. Look at these shots. Look at Yoko Ono. Please, who captures... Listen, who in God's name says to Yoko Ono, I'm going to shoot you from behind? I'm sorry. That is an inspired friggin' thing. I need to talk to you about that one. What the hell?
That's a sort of a pretty cool experience. I had photographed her a few times before in her home. Well, once before in her home and then someplace else. But this time when I got there, and I never assume someone remembers me, but she was very, very kind. And she said, why don't you walk around and see where you'd like to shoot me, which had not been my experience before.
So she didn't know you were taking that shot?
Oh, no.
Oh,
She let me open doors, and I looked in that room and I just thought, this is it. And I asked her, and I just remember her saying that she'd never been photographed in there before. And I know my back was against the wall. I couldn't get any further back because I wanted to include the window that was lighting her and the portrait of John, but I had to do it in like two different photos. But that was very special for me, and I love that photograph.
That is, when I saw that, I just went nuts. And Tom Waits and Jim Jarmusch, look at the people that you got. It wasn't just musicians. I mean, it's Isaac Asimov, for Christ's sake. What's happening? I mean... I just gotta say, I'm like a fangirl or something here now because I'm thinking to myself, these live on and on. Lieber and Stoller, who are two of my incredible idols, songwriting idols. Sinead O'Connor, what was happening here? Where were you?
Okay, so good question. So we're in a hotel room in Canada, and I open up my equipment to set up my lights, only to find that my assistant never packed the AC cord to my generator for my light.
So you made it work. You just made it work.
Yeah, and I never would have thought to have ever taken a photo on a tripod on a really long exposure in a hotel room.
Okay, that's major applause. I may have to give you applause.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. That's crazy. Now, here are two long-lost, beautiful people that we love so much. Jessica Tandy and Hume Cronin. And the way you got, I need to say, the way you got his feet off the floor, her throwing back her head, laughing, just the silliness of their relationship and who they are as actors and people. That shot makes me smile. I can't even look at it without smiling. It's just beautiful.
You know what I love about it? They lived in the Warwick Hotel.
Oh.
And that was where I photographed that.
Oh, I just love, like, we're going through this. We have the pleasure and the honor of going through this like a scrapbook of a iconic photographer. Look at James Brown. Okay. Deb, these are all like iconic. Look at this. Prince. Oh my God. What year was this with Prince?
I think it was 81. Can I tell you the little story about this one?
Oh, please, listen, I want to hear stories about anything you want to tell us. Go.
Okay. So this was an assignment from the Soho Weekly News, and Alan Tannenbaum was my photo editor. And I just want to say that decades later, I ran into him and he goes, "Yeah, that was the only shoot I regretted assigning to someone else."
And look at this. Here's Tom Verlaine. Here's Brian Eno. Now, wait a minute. This Brian Eno shot. Oh, my God. In that corner. Whoa. Where is that corner and how did that happen?
So this was from Musician Magazine. And,
right.
And we shot a lot of avant-garde artists, new age. It was a very exciting time for music and for being in New York and for being a young photographer. And so, I wasn't that familiar with his music. I knew it was very minimalist. And that's what inspired me for that, was to just I thought of what his music sounded like to me. And this was my visual of it. It was on the roof of where, in Soho, where he had a loft or has a loft.
Okay, that is Brian Eno to me. That is amazing. Okay, let me just do a few more. Stevie Ray Vaughan, Insane. Look at this. Muscle Shoals, which brought so many hits. Look at John Sebastian and Fab Five Freddy. Oh my God, because I wrote a musical about Keith Haring. Look at all this. Tim Robbins. Look at Tim Robbins. I can't take it. Okay, look at Paul Simon. What's happening? Oh my God. And there's Keith Richards again. There's Tom Wolfe. Oh my God, there's Cyndi. Oh, Cyndi. We love Cyndi Lauper. Okay, and look at this. You did the Drugstore Cowboy movie poster?
Well, I was just doing specials for it. And so I followed the cast, and I just, we were on location. I think it was in Portland, and it was a gray day, and I was using a really funky film because I was crazy. I mean, to be so, it just suited it, but it was a really weird high-speed film, and it was very gray and drab. And towards the end of the day, when we finished the shoot, Gus Van Sant, who was the director, said just very quietly, because he wasn't with us all day, came over and said, could you just take a picture of, I just went blank.
Matt Dillon.
What?
Matt Dillon.
Matt Dillon against this wall.
Thank you, Molly.
Thank you, Molly. So, well, she knows the game with me. So,
okay, I'm gonna, because we only...
Wait, oh, I like that wide angle. So, but what was interesting was I'd photographed Kelly Lynch a lot, and she ran in and grabbed him, and they bought that as
oh my God, it was one of those moments. You see, everybody, you're getting the backstory to these photos. I know we only have 15 minutes. So I'm going to try to just zoom through some of these. Johnny Depp, Frank Zappa, please go. Juliette Binoche, please. Susan Sarandon, come on. Edie Falco, what a great Edie Falco shot. Look at, oh my God, Toni Morrison, what's happening? All right. Listen to me. I have got to talk to you for some of this because I'm losing it. In the little fortune cookie that's down here, it says DeborahFeingold.com. I want everybody, I have not even cracked the surface of what's on that website. And for you to give us that gift to let us see everything you've done on one website, you can't imagine. When we know each other a little bit off in real life, and I have never looked through this in this way. And I need to say, these will live on forever and ever. And I do ask at this point, if anybody has a Q&A, please, please, if you want to come up on stage and have this incredible honor and opportunity to talk to Deborah Feingold about anything she shot over the years, please, please, just ask to come on stage and I will let you. And while we're talking, so, so who are your idols, or who are your photographers that you look up to and you teach other people now to look towards those photographers?
So, I'm pretty old school. So, I teach at ICP, and I teach a course called
What's ICP?
International Center of Photography. It's in the
Okay.
city.
Okay.
And I'm not soliciting students. I'm sharing with you, as I do with my class, the joy of how what I saw. You know what I mean? What moved me. And it just so happens most of them have passed already, but they built, I think, the foundation of modern portrait photography and even street photography in terms of magic moment and framing. So, in my class, we start with the first celebrity photographer called Nadar, and he shot celebrities at the turn of the century. Brilliant, brilliant man. And just with mostly just daylight, north light.
Right.
And then I go on to, Irving Penn, Arnold Newman. For anyone who does photography, we do Ralph Eugene Meatyard. He was an ops, an eye doctor.
An eye doctor.
Yeah, bleh, he was almost became a gynecologist. Excuse me. So he worked 6 days a week, and on the seventh day, he took his family out and put these grotesque masks on them and photographed them in the most bizarre and interesting, weird ways. That's another person that we do. I like to go back to the classics because I think they still exist in contemporary work. And I have to tell you, mostly no one knows who these people are. And that breaks my heart.
Oh.
Because what they're missing out on, and I get a lot of love from my students, and they're from all walks of life. And because I only teach on Zoom, they're from all over the world. And there's nothing more exciting than introducing new people who...
You started that in the pandemic?
No, I've been doing this one class a semester. I do it on Zoom now. It used to be in person, but Zoom is much better for me.
That's what I meant. You started it, on Zoom.
So each week they have to copy the person that we are learning about.
Yeah.
And we do Diane Arbus, we do Vivian Mayer, Cindy Sherman, lots of different people. And it's such a thrill to see how excited they all get. So,
I want to say that Molly, your daughter, sitting next to you like that, Molly, just tell us, and you don't have to come on camera, how proud are you of your mother? Beyond. Now, I do want to say one thing. When you have a daughter, and let's say, first of all, is Molly interested in photography?
Not at all.
Right. So, it's hard, like when you have an actor father and an actor son or something like that. And so that is so beautiful that Molly appreciates everything you've done and has a mother that's done this. And as I'm sitting there talking to you, I'm thinking to myself, I have to show one more picture because I'm losing it. Because it's Spinal Tap. Spinal Tap. I can't take it. The guys from Spinal Tap next to Keith Richards. And next to who do we have here?
Bill Gates.
We have Bill Gates at the youngest time you'll ever see. Well, look what we got. Emerald. Look, I had to finish this page because I lost my mind. There's Billy Joel. And to put Billy Joel on a lounge chair in the backyard is the greatest thing. Did you go to his house?
I did. Billy
Joel. So I want everybody to go to this website, seriously. And I'm not going to show all these because I want to finish talking, but just look at some of these people. If you recognize them and you know who they are, I need to say that my huswife is in love with Wynton Marsalis and freaked out when she saw Wynton and Branford over here. So just for the last few minutes, could you go back to what you wanted to tell us? I really think it's a funny story, either about Billy Idol or about the other person who showed up not in a good state and did something.
Yeah, but I can't remember his name. Wait, Mom.
Okay, we don't have to tell us. By the way, my mother's on stage.
Oh.
Martha, did you want to ask a question? Unmute before we go to this funny story. Martha, all you got to do is unmute. I don't know where your microphone is. Okay, if you can find your microphone, it's down on the bottom where it says react, and you have to push it to unmute it. But there you go. You want to come to camera, Mom?
No.
Okay. What do you want to ask
I
a
want to just
question?
say one thing. I can't get over this. It's mind-boggling, if you want to say. But my grandfather was a groundbreaker in the photography business, which is Deborah's great-grandfather. He was the first photographers in Brooklyn. He was
That's
born in
true.
1876 and had the first studio on Myrtle Avenue in Brooklyn, New York. He started on Coney Island.
His name was Valashay. Yes, Valashay. We know, Mom. That is
He
so
put
beautiful.
Valashay into business. He was Jackson. But he used to take pictures of Teddy Roosevelt, who used to stop in his place. And unbelievable. Do you own all these pictures yourself? I mean, are they...
For the most part, yes. Some of the book covers, no. But for the most, other than the book covers, I own everything.
Uh-huh. Well, when years ago, when you started out, you only did black and white, So he was one of the first photographers to color in the pictures himself, too.
I've done that as well.
You did that too? Oh,
Yeah, my
wow.
dad.
So you have to be an artist to do that, too.
Yeah.
Well, I am
Thank you, Mom.
flabbergasted. It's
knew-
unbelievable. It's wonderful that I watched this and getting to know you on this app. So thank you very much.
That's an 87-year-old woman saying app. Okay. Mom, we love you so much, Mother, for coming up and saying that. And we'll talk later as to how you thought you were flabbergasted. Thank you for coming up. I appreciate it. Deb, tell us that final story about it's the Billy Idol story is a funny story, but also the meter story. I'm going out to feed my meter.
That's the story I wanted to tell. What was his name? I forgot.
You didn't say it in the interview I listened to, but the funny part is what he said and what he did.
Who was Howard Stern's assistant that had some issues?
Male or female?
The guy that was on early on with him. He was a comedian. He is a comedian.
It's either Fred or Baba Booey.
No, Molly, look it up. Anyway.
Okay, so Molly, look it up. Yeah, go ahead.
So we're doing his book cover, and he art directed it. He wanted to be sitting on a couch playing poker with a poker table, and he wanted Artie Lang.
Oh, Artie, of course, Artie, yeah.
And he wanted a model in a French maid's outfit standing behind him, serving him a drink.
Okay. So he shows up.
So we build the set, and from 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock, his handler says, he's on his way. That went to, he's not coming. That went to me saying, you need the art director, you need to let them know he has to come. So long story short, he shows up. I will spare you what he looked like.
Yes,
but
spare us.
Just say that soap and water was not at play at all in this. So we shoot a little bit, and when something is not working because for many reasons. And then he says that he has to go put money in the meter. And we're still waiting for him to come back.
He never came back. So that is so funny to me that he said, I'm going to go put money in the meter and never came back. All right. Look, I have to say a couple of things from knowing you a little bit. It feels so good to have somebody here that actually has a whole catalog of work that still lives on in a way that we can look at. And what your photographs do for me, I don't know for anyone else, is they bring back that part of my life, and the sensory feelings, the smells, what was going on in New York. Because it was a lot of these are very New York to me, because I grew up with this whole thing at this time period. And the way you describe your spontaneity and wanting to live in the unknown until it's the right thing, that is the essence for me of music too, and creating music. So I totally get it. So if anybody wants to see Deb's work, please, and I'm sorry I keep calling you Deborah, go to deborahfeingold.com. Please, she wrote a book a while back in 2014 called Music, which has all her photographs. And I'm sure by chance when Madonna's book comes out, you'll be walking by saying, I was in a show and I listened to that person talk. So I really, really want to thank you for today. It was not only a pleasure, but an honor to hear your entire kind of like a docent in a museum. We go through these pictures, and that was the honor for me. Please, everybody, give Deborah Feingold a big round of applause. We have had such a good time today. Look, I'm seeing everybody clapping, but for some reason we're not. There we go. We're getting sound now. I will give you my applause. And everybody have a great Thanksgiving. Deborah, what do you have to say finally to a new aspiring photographer who wants to make it?
Well, I would like to say to you, my dear Deborah, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And never quit. Keep trying. That's it.
Never quit, everybody. Keep trying. You heard it.